right, welcome back in. Just another football show.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I was waiting for it.
Oh, no. Here it is.
Can't start off that way. You cannot start off that way. Where's the enthusiasm?
It could have been there. You don't know. That could be a yeah. It could be a.
You might blame
You know Joey's gonna bring it.
When you lose, I'm gonna blame you're not having a hua.
Okay.
For this, that's
fine,
what it's gonna be. As a guy who believes in jinxes, what the fuck are you doing over there?
Yeah, you have a whole routine.
Yeah, I've got a routine and it's down pat, and we'll see it. I'm just annoyed that routine has to wait till fucking 7:45 on a Saturday night to get
at least
things.
it's Saturday.
Oh, 6:45. Excuse me. I'm looking at Eastern times.
East Coast bias.
Oh shit! It is a 6. Damn it!
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'll have to sneak out of work a little early.
Yeah, it's a little early, but I'm not. I'll save it for Friday, but
We'll see.
indifferent.
Well, we're going to talk to Joey. He's also well rested off the bye, coming in to talk about the Packers. And Ray is back, talking a little Niners, right?
Yeah. He's on his way, from what I heard.
It's a little inside baseball, but yeah. You just not feeling great about it right now, Jam? Or
You know what? I'll save it for Friday. I will save it for Friday.
Fair enough. All right, make sure you guys are listening to the podcast on Friday. We'll get Jam's full thoughts on this game. But until then, let's just call Joey, let him say his piece. Maybe troll Jam a little bit. I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. I don't know. We'll see. Let's talk to Joey. All right. So anyone who listens knows we gotta bring on Joey. Talking Packers. Joey, the first I'm not even going to ask how it's going. The first thing I have to ask you, because I've talked to a handful of people about this, and maybe I'm crazy, but a lot of people seem to disagree. Is this not the team you wanted to see in the playoffs as a Packers fan? Like, is there a team that you would have disliked in this position more? Like, if I'm a Packers fan, I don't feel good about drawing the Niners.
No. This is probably the last team I wanted to see, given how the Niners
People look at me like I'm
is.
fucking crazy when I say that.
No, I think you're right, because I think the way the Niners play football is the way that you beat the Green Bay Packers. You run the football, you control the clock, you don't blitz, and you get pressure with 4. I mean, you go all the way back to Mike McCarthy, and some of those great failures he had as the Packers head coach. Glad to see he's still keeping that tradition strong in Dallas.
Me too.
Those losses to the Giants, those losses to the Kaepernick's Niners, same story. If you can play cover 2, get pressure with a 4-man rush and run the ball, it gives Rodgers and the Packers fits. So I would have loved to have seen the Eagles. Heck, I'd even take another shot at the Cardinals or the Rams. But right out of the gate, the Niners aren't exactly the team I wanted to see.
What scares me about this is, like you said, right out of the gate. Green Bay always shows up week 1 of the playoffs ready to go, right? And you joked about it before the microphones heated up, that it's that NFC Championship game that usually trips them up. So, and I'm looking at the writing on the wall for this game, and maybe it's the pro wrestling in me, Joey, but you're looking at this being the last dance, Aaron Rodgers, and before the game was seemingly over yesterday in Dallas, they were already putting up Rodgers versus the Niners in the postseason, how he's 0-3 against them, and this is his opportunity. For me, all you need is to motivate this man at this point, and I think he's got plenty of that coming into this one to make it even that much more meaningful of a game for him.
Oh, 100% agree. I texted you the other day and said the theme of this week is vengeance. And going back to 2 years ago and that just absolute stinker that the Packers laid in the NFC title game to your Niners, there's something, if this is the last dance, this is setting up to be incredibly poetic, like a Hollywood ending. If in fact Rodgers is able to, potentially exercise the demon of the Niners, and we're going to hear about it, so we might as well say it now. The team that passed over him in the draft, we got to talk about it every single time they play.
What? That happened?
You guys don't remember that?
Oh my God.
Oh, well, yeah. Google it.
Now
if you don't.
Now I'm locked into this.
It's you just can't make this up. If they were able to get past the Niners, and then what if Mr. Brady and his Buccaneers are waiting for him in the NFC title game, and then Rodgers were to roll into the Super Bowl and maybe take on the young gunslinger Patrick Mahomes. I mean, it's all just setting up for Rodgers to potentially at the end of this year ride off into the sunset, a la John Elway. And say, I can't top this. I can't top what we did this year, and I'm going to call it quits. So I don't know. we've talked before, off air. I don't believe this is Aaron Rodgers' last season with the Green Bay Packers. I think everything he wanted, he's gotten. And regardless of how this game goes or how this season ends, if it's not retirement, I still think he's a Green Bay Packer. But yeah, as far as Hollywood endings, that pro wrestling script, this is really setting up to be something magical.
Yeah, and before we jump too much on the offensive side of things here, you talked about this 49ers team and their ability to run the football. And Packers, this isn't the same old Packers defense, I don't think. This is probably one of the better defenses I've seen Green Bay have in quite a while, which is something that Rodgers has sort of always missed out on. You think back to the Manning era in Indianapolis. It was, that offense is great, but that defense is suspect as fuck. And that usually seemed to trip them up here. And I think the secondary of Green Bay especially can really look, and as someone who sat and painfully watched almost every Jimmy Garoppolo pass this season, when he's on, but when he's bad, it gets worse. And I look at this team, and you look at the way to defend Garoppolo as a sort of spy in the middle, because he never notices that. You can drop a guy into the middle of the field into coverage and just sort of wait and watch Garoppolo's eyes, and it's almost always assuredly an interception. And I think this Green Bay team has the abilities to do that, force Jimmy into some questionable throws, and be opportunistic and give Rodgers another shot with the ball.
Yeah, and the way that we're able to rush the passer this year as opposed to last year, and I'm just going to get it out of the way right now because they're going to talk a lot about it on Saturday. The reinforcements, they're not just coming, they're here. Zadarius Smith is back. David Bakhtiari is back. Jair Alexander most likely back. So there's going to be a lot more pieces to this team that they really haven't had. I'm interested to see how they work all of these pieces together. But you're right. If you can get pressure on Jimmy G and really kind of start to force him to make throws he's not comfortable with, it could be a big day. Rasul Douglas has shown that he's a bit of a ball hawk. Guy didn't play week 3. I don't think he was a member of the Packers roster when that week 3 game. You're going to see, Darius Smith. There's another guy who can rush from the middle or from the outside to get some more pressure on Jimmy. And I think the biggest change from this Packers defense, like you said, it's not the same defense. It's not that Dom Capers defense I've been so used to seeing all those years and all those heartbreaks. Devondre Campbell has brought such a spark to the middle of this defense. Are they still suspect to the run? Yes, they can be. But what I'm seeing with their ability to cover tight ends, to really cover the middle of the field, and really to play the run better than they have in probably a decade, I'm really excited. I'm optimistic that maybe this year it won't be the defense that causes some catastrophic failure.
Yeah, I think this defense is loaded right now. And like you said, you're getting back some of your top guys. Jair Alexander, one of the best corners in the league. Zadarius Smith, absolute beast on the edge there. And those are all guys that went down throughout the year. This is a team that really did have to overcome some adversity. I don't want to heap too much praise on them. They've gotten plenty of that. But, losing guys like that, losing David Bakhtiari, I think, in spring training or something like that, and kind of overcoming that, the different iterations that were on the offensive line, the different kind of combinations. Like you said, Rasul Douglas wasn't even on this team at the beginning of the year, and now he's coming in, he's playing very well. So do you think this, we're finally getting like the Megazord version of this team? Everyone's there, all the pieces are together. Do you think that's right? Like we're getting it. Like they're cresting at the right time. Do you think that obviously that should work in their favor, but we've seen it plenty of times where it doesn't. So how do you feel about finally becoming that team of destiny, right at the opportune moment?
Again, if you were going to write a Hollywood movie about this team, everything is starting to piece together to really make that story even better. Every time I come on here, I'm optimistic. I am an optimistic Packer fan. Why I still am, I don't know. I'm just addicted to heartbreak, I guess. But I really like the way this defense has been playing. Towards the end of the year, they did have some rough outings. But I think the real Achilles heel of this defense are mobile quarterbacks. And right now, Jimmy G does not strike fear as a mobile quarterback. Trey Lance actually would scare me more probably in this spot than Jimmy Garoppolo would, because that this defense just loves to sit back. They love to wait for a quarterback to make a mistake. Very opportunistic. So I just, if they can stop the run, if they can win first down, it's cliche, but I think first down is going to be what sets the tone for this game. Because if the Niners, just like they did the Cowboys, if they can start ripping off those 4, 5, 6 yard runs early, if they can start getting the outside game going with Debo, it's going to be a long day for this Packers defense. Because when Jimmy's comfortable is when he doesn't have that pressure in his face. And if he's facing a bunch of second and shorts, third and shorts, he's gonna have a good game. But if the Packers can shore up, stop the run on those early downs and force Jimmy into some third and longs, I really like the way this game could go.
Yeah, that has to be obviously the recipe to success defensively for the Packers. Make them, like you said, short them up on first down. Second and long, third and long, make them into opportunities. Get Aaron Rodgers that football back, because if there's one part of this team that you don't have to question, it's what Aaron Rodgers and this offense is able to do, especially the run game here. San Francisco very good against the rush, but if you got the combination of A.J. Dillon and the other guys, Aaron Jones, thank you, Ryan. Aaron Jones back there, those two guys both over 1,000 yards on the ground this season. Very good combination there. Rodgers, Casey will be the first one to point out that this 49ers secondary is suspect at best. I like to say they play opportunistic. They can play very well at times and bad at others. But if Rodgers is able to sit there, especially with the possibility of no Nick Bosa, Fred Warner banged up yesterday as well. Not a lot coming out at this point about those injuries, but you lose two of your biggest defensive pieces. Should be an all right outing for Rodgers and the boys.
That's one thing I'm confident in. The Packers will score points. Honestly, the Cowboys didn't lose that game because of their defense. The Cowboys lost that game because their offense couldn't do anything.
Absolutely.
Which is pretty surprising. But there's a pretty big drop off between Aaron Rodgers and Dak Prescott, and I'll even say there's a even bigger drop off between Devontae Adams and Amari Cooper. Devontae Adams, he torched him week 3. He had 12 catches, a $120 and a touchdown, and really on that drive where they went the put away drive for the field goal at the end of the game. I mean, Adams was just wide open every single time Rodgers looked for him. So I'm not worried about the Packers being able to score points. And I think they're going to do their own version of ball control. Matt LaFleur does not want to be a guy who throws the ball 40 times a game. Matt LaFleur loves to make Aaron Rodgers game manager Aaron Rodgers, and it works when he does. We're going to get it. It should be freezing cold, blistering out there. So I think you're going to get a real healthy dose of Quadzilla, A.J. Dillon pounding the ball. You're going to get that nice can't even think. Aaron Jones, you're going to get that nice spell with him and what he can do in the passing game. So I'm not worried at all about the Packers being able to move the football against this team. It's going to come down to, I think, special teams, because that's where the Packers are incredibly suspect. And again, like you said, if the Niners can come out, if Bosa can play, if they can get pressure with 4, then this game may not go the way Packer fans want it to.
Yeah, it kind of feels like the version of the Packers that we've gotten at points this year has just basically been souped up 49ers, right? Run the ball well, some creativity with your guys, but you have Aaron Rodgers back there.
It's like they're showing us what could have happened if we were able to pull that trade off,
Yeah, it is the classic, look at what Aaron Rodgers is doing now because he's mad about that, all that stuff. But I think that's how you win football, right? That's how the 49ers have been winning games. That's how the Green Bay Packers want to win games. Run the ball well, throw well when you need to, and then play good defense. So, like you said, the weakness is the special teams. We saw, Chicago Bears had a couple of kickoffs, good kickoffs, or good kickoff returns and stuff like that, but then Mason Crosby, right? There's a world where we get the unkickable game again in the Super Bowl with Cincy and Green Bay. But what do you think about Mason Crosby here? He's kicking at home. He knows the conditions, everything like that, but still kind of sucks at times.
Yeah, and I think he really in that middle of the season, that big chunk, those 8 to 10 weeks right in the middle of the year is when he really was just all over the place, just hot and cold at times. He's hit his last, down the stretch here the last month. He's been solid. He's hitting most of his kicks. I think he's been over 90% on field goal attempts. So I think he's kind of righted that ship a little bit. I'm still concerned about kickoff coverage units. Really, there's no threat from the Packers as far as a return game whatsoever. At this point, I would take every ball going into the end zone, going out of bounds, just letting it hit the ground. Just don't touch it. That's my motto for the Packers special teams. Don't touch it. But Mace, I have confidence in him. He's hit a lot of big kicks in his career. The guy's been in the league forever. I think if it came down to another big kick in a pressure situation in that Lambeau weather, I'll take Mason Crosby over almost anybody in that situation. I still have a lot of faith in the old silver-haired fox, and what an opportunity be for him too to maybe get a play hero and really let fans forget about some of those missed kicks here in the middle part of that season.
Well, he was hero week 3, so He could do it again.
He was. And, what I loved about that game is just the confidence that, that the Packers have in him, that spike. And then Rodgers, with that big fist pump, just knowing that Mace was going to go out and hit that kick. And at no point has LaFleur ever wavered. The talking heads have said a lot about, should we go out and get a new kicker? Should we go out and get a new special teams coordinator? I will say the special teams coordinator, I would have taken that change a long time ago, but I think you got to stick with Mason Crosby. Who else are you going to go find off the street that's been in those big pressure situations that can kick in the conditions at Lambeau? I'll always back Mason until he decides to call it quits.
Well, I think Joey's doing a pretty good job of talking me out of hedging too early on my bets. So let's get an actual pick from you here, Joey. How you think this game's gonna go? Give me a score. Give me a pick. Give me some game flow. How do you see this one shaking out?
I think this is going to be a really close game. I think early on, it's probably going to be low scoring. Don't be surprised, though, if the Niners come out early, drive down the field. One thing the Packers have been atrocious on is opening drive touchdowns, both scoring and giving up. And it's almost like they need that spark. They need to go down 7 to kind of, get their head in that right place. It sounds ridiculous to say. But I think this is going to be a back and forth slugfest. I think Kittle's going to have a big game. I think they're going to do a lot to try to make sure Debo doesn't beat them, because I think right now he's such a game breaker. And when he gets into space, it is fun to watch that kid play football. I think halftime could see a very, one score, couple point game. But I think down the stretch, I think you're going to see the Packers start to pull away. I like the Packers by a touchdown here, but I do think that, Jeremy, I hate to say it. I can see this time around. I can see, rather than Rodgers being the one that needs to lead that big comeback win, maybe it's Jimmy G that needs to, and then maybe that's where we see that unfortunate interception. But week 3, he came right down the field and scored, leaving 45 seconds on the clock for Rodgers. I guarantee you that won't happen again this time. Shanahan has learned his lesson. He is not going to give Rodgers the football back. But I can even see this one staying tight down the way, maybe an overtime game. I really think this is going to be a classic, but in the end, I do like the Packers to cover. Last I saw, kind of bounce around between 4.5 and 5. I hate giving score predictions because I'm always wrong, but I'll go ahead and say 24-17 Green Bay.
All right.
I hope it's not overtime, Joey. My heart can't handle that again. Not 3 weeks in a row.
Cham's been through the ringer the last few weeks.
Yeah. And that's another thing that scares me. This 49ers team, it's those teams that get hot at the end and have to fight their asses off to save their season, and that's what they've done. And so they've been in playoff mode for a long time, whereas the Packers, that was a basic glorified exhibition against Detroit week 18. That sounds weird to say. Mm-hmm. And then taking this last week off. So there is something to be said about that team that's been out there grinding and battling week after week. However, is the attrition going to be too much for the 49ers? We'll see. I love watching Fred Warner play, but I wouldn't be heartbroken to not see him on the field on Saturday.
Yeah, I figured that was coming.
That checks out.
That's fair.
Yeah.
All right, Joey, we appreciate you taking a little time to talk to us, and my wallet hopes we're talking to you next week. We got nothing else.
If we have to talk to any Packer fan next week, I'm happy it would be Joey.
Wow, look at you.
Oh, I appreciate it. I love you guys, and keep up the awesome work. Love listening to you guys. You crack me up all the frickin' time. When I crash my car laughing at you guys.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Bantering. Don't worry, I won't send you the bill.
Okay, yeah.
All right. Well, I guess.
Yeah. And before we
Still don't do that.
Yeah. And before we go, Joey, you've been back out there entertaining the masses. Why don't you tell everybody where they can catch you coming up?
Oh, yes. My professional wrestling career has hit version 2.0. I am back after nearly 2 years, taking some time off to recover from a torn ACL. But you can catch me this Saturday in Omaha, Nebraska for Magnum Wrestling, our 11-year anniversary. And that'll be at Stocks and Bonds here in Omaha. Go ahead and check them out on Facebook at Magnum Wrestling. You can find me, Joey Anderson, on Facebook, Joey Anderson on Instagram. Joey triple underscore Anderson on TikTok. That's right. I am getting into the TikTok game here. Don't know what I'm
shit.
doing, but we're gonna have some fun with it.
Maybe we can get a Joey for fucking clues then. This is a conversation that's come up recently, Joey. So
I'll be honest. So far, all my TikToks are me just doing funny things to my wife and not being able to post them.
nice. All right, man.
All in good fun.
Well, I hope people check you out, and like I said, I hope we're talking to you next week.
Oh, I really hope we're talking. So, Jeremy, I love you, but go Pack, go.
Don't expect any text messages or well wishes during this game. So.
Oh, yeah. For 4 hours on Saturday, we hate each other. It's cool.
It's fine. That's how it works. All right, man. Take it easy. We appreciate it.
All right, you guys take care. Bye-bye.
Joey.
All right. So now, I didn't expect him back. If I'm being honest with you guys, I'm the only one that made the pick. I'm the only one that made the pick the other way. So egg on my face, I suppose. We are joined by Ray once again, Niners fan. Jam, I'm sure you're happy to have him here. Ray, I have to ask, how you feeling after the game this weekend? I know Jam may have had a few more small heart attacks. So,
yeah, I think I'm like,
okay, sure.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I'm like out of emotion, dude. Like my wife was like, "Hey, you haven't said a word for an hour," and I was like, "I don't know what to say."
I'm drained at this point.
Yeah, she's like, I want that more often.
Oh, I bet. My wife just she came downstairs to just check on me, see how I was going, and Zeke popped one off, and I'm just screaming at the TV that you have to make a fucking tackle, and she turned around and went right back up the stairs. She was having none of me on game day. And Ray, before we get too far into this, I'm gonna break a little fourth wall here and let you know that not only did Casey not expect to talk to you this week, he didn't really expect to talk to you last week because he lined up an interview with Fez, our Saints fan.
I didn't line up any interviews.
You had him?
I had him penciled into the spreadsheet. I never messaged him once.
Before you got him there. So we're just playing with borrowed time here, Fez. Or, excuse me, Ray. Part of me,
was the asshole.
It's a Freudian slip. Part of me sort of wanted to lose this game, Ray, because I don't know if I could handle another 3.5 hours of what this team has gone through the last 2 weeks. Now, before we get into versus the Packers, how do you think the team can bounce back and handle that? We went to overtime with the Rams in a very hard-fought game. You went into Dallas, a very hard-fought game, one where we led, and then they were coming back, and then back and forth, and we won the game 5 fucking times in 2 minutes, but then still didn't win the game until the very last play. How does the team sort of muster enough energy to keep this going into Green Bay?
I mean, we got energy for spades. We just got to bring Kittle in to say a few words, and there's just, everybody. There's guys on both sides of the ball that just, they bring that every single game. That's why we've stayed in these games. They don't take off plays, they don't take off games. So I'm not worried about it from that aspect. I just want to get through each game as healthy as possible. And we lost a couple key guys there, but news on them are good. So I'm hopeful that we're going to come into this game pretty healthy.
And you're going to need to be, right? Because we're talking about facing Green Bay, your semi-nemesis, maybe.
In their minds, we're like the arch nemesis.
They've won the last 2, but you had that championship game.
We've won all the playoff ones. We've won the ones that have mattered.
Yeah, they can take the September, November games. Who gives a shit, right? But the January games, that's you guys. So, but Green Bay does seem to be the team of destiny right now. Last dance, Aaron Rodgers, all this and that. Do you think that Jimmy G, right? And we haven't seen a lot of production from Kittle lately, but he does other things that don't show up on the stat sheet. I'm sure Jam is, pancakes right there. Do you think you got the emotions to overtake a team like this that's kind of just set up from the beginning of the year to be like that team?
Do we have the emotion to do it? Definitely.
Do we have the bodies to do it?
Do we have the play to make it happen? I'm hopeful, but less hopeful than I was going into last week. I'd say that.
Yeah, I look at this.
I do like playing the role of the spoiler. Everybody's knocking on Rodgers and his one Super Bowl win, and you look back and you see how many times the Niners were a part of making sure there wasn't a second, and it makes me feel good.
I remember some of it.
especially after the 90s when Favre used to play spoiler to San Francisco all the time in the playoffs.
True.
It's fun to get this one in here. We talk about, bodies being banged up and, Bosa out right now in concussion protocol. Fred Warner practicing.
Limited
practice,
practice
but he's practicing. Garoppolo with a phantom shoulder injury that we didn't know anything about until Shanahan was like, oh, yeah, by the way, he tweaked it, but should be okay to go. And I look at what we were doing against Dallas. And at one point in that first half, we had to settle for 3 straight field goals on 3 straight drives. You can't do that against Green Bay, I don't think. I don't think they can come out here and slow this offense down enough to where you have to settle for field goals. So how does this team get over that hump? How do they really punch it into the end zone instead of just settling for 3?
Well, our red zone offense, I'm pretty sure, is number 1. So it's
weird.
usually, yeah. I mean, I think we're so used to just living on, we just need 10 downs and scraping for third downs on, like it's always 3 downs to get to the first down usually. So it's just kind of like once you're in the red zone, there's not a whole lot of change there. But I'd say I felt the same way in the Dallas game. I was like, man, we're trading for 3 here too often. But Green Bay's not going to do what Dallas did for us and just hurt themselves. So we're going to have to definitely turn those into points. How we do that, I don't know. But if you're saying that it comes down to field goals, the one thing I don't like talking about is kickers. So I'm not going to get into it. I'd rather have our guy than their guy. So
yeah, I agree with you there. I'd rather have Robbie Gould than old Mason Crosby, who has his ups and downs, and he was the hero the last time these two teams met. So
that's true.
Who knows how that can come out here? What are your thoughts and feelings about Garoppolo in this one? Because he's a Jekyll and Hyde character, man. We talked about it last week. When he's on, he's on.
He's good to sail 2 or 3 passes a game,
off,
right?
Like
it just
when he's off and you flutter him, and
not
he just
close.
misses it. How do you?
Yeah, both of them. Both of those sails hurt equally. One's a turnover and one would have been a crucial moving the change there. So, honestly, when I heard about his shoulder, my mind's like a little indifferent on it. Like I'm like, hey, I just want the other guys to be healthy. And if worst case scenario, Trey comes in here, that we're already kind of on borrowed time, like you said before. If Trey, I'm like running through, scenarios through my head. I'm like, maybe Trey playing this game might be good, but if Garoppolo's healthy, bring him in. Let's, I want him behind there. He's, those moments don't get to him. It's just being able to throw a football that's tricky sometimes. So yeah, we just need. Once he sailed that one, I was like, okay, that's. I need him to play 500 is always kind of where I'm thinking. I'm like, all right, you missed Ayuk here. Now I need a big play to offset it, which we had like almost none of other than Debo making plays on his own. And then the pick, and I go, I'm thinking of it like blackjack. I'm like counting the cards. I'm like, great. Now that, the deck's really not in our favor here, like we just went -2. So as long as he can stay 500 and we don't let them get too far out in front of us to where we can keep running the ball, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I've been a converted Niners fan the last couple of weeks, right? I had some money riding on them, and that Week 18 game, they cashed it for me. So now that's the team I'm riding with until it comes down to it and they play the Bucs or something like that, which we'll see. But I've been really enjoying watching these Niners game because, like you said, they kind of methodically can move the ball down the field, but mess up just enough to keep it interesting, right? Or Jimmy or something like that. But then he'll come back and it'll be like a 60-yard play to Debo or Ayuk, or Debo will throw a touchdown to Jennings or something. It's something crazy. So I really like the creativity. I think I truly understand what Niners fans go through with the kind of extreme highs and extreme lows of Jimmy G. I remember, calling for his head, I think, in that Rams game, and then he kind of pulled it through and saying there's no way that he starts the second half.
Publish those fucking messages one day.
Go for it, man. I was
put them up.
When we win the Super Bowl, you can post that.
I've converted for the time being, but Yeah, I don't know how you guys do it, but the San Francisco team has found a way to do it the last couple of weeks, and I think they kind of simplified it, right? It's I want to call him Earl Mitchell, but Elijah Mitchell.
You do a lot.
Yeah, Elijah Mitchell just running the ball 100 yards a game. It looked like they moved down the field with relative ease against Dallas every time, but like Jam said and you talked about, they kind of had to settle for it. For field goes far too many times, and I think I said that in our group chat too.
And none of that happened the last time. As I'm looking at the box score between these two teams, there was, it was 67 total rushing yards. Trey Sermon led with 31.
Yeah.
Like they never really got the run game going. Kittle
Mitchell
for almost
probably wasn't
100.
even on the team.
Debo only at 50. Like this. I'm confused how you guys manufactured points here, to be honest. Looking at the box score, it's weird.
When we played each other, it's kind of like, Mostert's out. We were still trying to figure out the running game to an extent, and Mitchell wasn't the guy yet, so it was kind of a weird spot there
in that game for the Niners. Jesus.
And I think the game plan has simplified itself, right?
Yeah, we figured things out since
Mitchell,
then.
Debo, like when did Debo start running, right?
There is one big thing
He had
that I
two
want to
carries
take
for 0
away.
yards last time these two teams played.
There's one big big takeaway I want to carry out of this, looking at last score and the last box scores here, is we talked about George Kittle not doing a whole heck of a lot, almost 100 yards here in this game. Where am I at here? 9 catches. He was 9 for 9. Perfect on the game. 92 yards, long one of 38.
I have 7 for 9.
Do you?
7 of 9. 7 receptions, 9 targets.
Oh, I was looking at his, there was a 9 next to that, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, 7 and 9. Anyway, still pretty damn good for 95 or 92
Not
yards.
terrible.
Gonna have that again, right? You're gonna need that, and it's usually like
Yes
he's gonna
and
get
no.
his, and he's if he can go most of the game. Ray, back me up here on this. If we go most of the game and we don't mention George Kittle once, he's gonna have like a crucial fourth quarter catch when you need him the most that converts the ball and elongates a drive. That's just what happens.
Yeah, that's what I thought happened last week, and then I thought he fumbled it.
Yeah, it was close.
I was like, yeah, Kittle's going to come up big, and then I was like, no, Kittle. But no, Kittle does need to get more involved on the actual offensive side other than blocking. Part of that, I don't need him to be 9 catches for 100 yards because at that point in time, Ayuk was still in the doghouse. Jennings was, I think, on the practice squad. So there's other options there, and I think I maybe mentioned this last week. It's like I'm happy that it's not just look for Kittle or look for Debo. Like he's got some other trusted options now that he's willing to make further progressions instead of forcing to those guys. So that's fine, but man, he's got to get a little more involved.
Yeah, you would love to see Kittle have those catches, but at the same time, if we're winning ball games and he's out there doing his thing, blocking guys and putting them on their asses, that's just as good or just as well served to this team. And that is one point I wanted to sort of bring up there, and I'm glad you brought it up, is while Kittle's numbers have lacked, this doesn't feel like the Niners team that we saw sort of on that Super Bowl run the last time. Last time it was run the football, George Kittle, and that's it. Debo was on the team the last time we went, not as used as he has been on, as of this season. Brandon Ayuk has had a sort of season that has reminded us this is why we drafted him. This is the guy we wanted him to be. And this emergence of Juwan Jennings has been very good at this team. Ray, out of those guys, who's going to have to step up? Who's going to have to be the guy to really sort of get this team over the hump and get them over Green Bay?
I mean, the guy has to be the guy. We need Debo to have a Debo game. Outside of him, it's got to be Mitchell, man. It's if we're in a spot where you tell me he's rushed for 120 yards, I'm really confident that we've won that game. If you tell me he's got 12 attempts, then probably not. They got, we traded for too many field goals and Aaron Rodgers did not. And, we just got to a spot where we had to start doing some other things. So, yeah, I think Debo's got to be Debo. We need 150 mixed yards in there, something like that, 120, something like that.
Yeah, Debo's got to go
and
off.
Then, yeah.
I agree with you. And then another question I wanted to ask, sort of piggyback off of that. is because I've heard it brought up in the last handful of 49ers games. It's, well, we talked to Kyle Shanahan and we asked him, how many times you have to rush the ball in this game to be successful, to get victory. I think against Dallas, he said some 35 rush attempts. And if we've rushed the ball 30 times, that's usually a game that we sort of have won. And to your credit, Ray, that's kind of the point you were just making. If this team can come out here and Mitchell can pop off for 120 yards, that's most likely a victory.
Yeah, I mean, I'd certainly like my chances a whole lot more. He might be doing that, and we might be scoring, but Aaron Rodgers might just be scoring right beside us too. So
as long as you ain't leaving no time on the clock, right?
that'd be it. Well, if we can leave 14 seconds on there and coax them into running it around, that might work.
That might work out in our favor, Ray. Yeah, one time's all it takes. All right, well, I'll go ahead and do it, unless Ryan had anything else he needed to ask. Ray?
Do it.
For my health's sake, are we talking to you next week? And what's the score?
Man. I think last week I really felt it was like a 50-50 shot. And honestly, if the Cowboys had any kind of discipline, they'd probably lose that game. This week, I don't know how to feel, dude. I mean, it's just like we've been able to play spoiler to this point and to the Packers in the past, so that gives me some hope. But it's a little tougher. I mean, this is a better balanced Green Bay team than we've been facing. I think I'll say this. I think if we can keep Jones somewhat quiet, which is tough to do. I think he's like their second most attempted pass receiver, plus what he's doing in the run game. If we can keep him somewhat quiet, we're going to win 27-26. Let's go 27-28. That sounds better. If not, we're going to lose 24-35.
Right, you got to pick one, though. You can't have both.
Give him the
I
win.
know.
Just take him the win. Play with house money.
I'm going to give him the win.
Okay.
Take the win.
I'm going to take the win. I'm going to take the win.
House
Yeah,
money.
I don't have to make
We're
my
gonna
prediction yet. And I always
Yeah.
I like to talk Ray up because he always makes me feel better about going into the situation. But I love how, on a surface, Packer fans are trying to play this pseudo underdog. Oh no, it's the big bad 49ers. But Niners fans are going, oh fuck, man, Green Bay. That's the the balance and the dynamic here between these two teams. But yeah, I hope you're right here.
Well,
if Ray's right, I hope LA wins.
Christ.
Gonna win.
All right, that's.
if I'm just going to make one point. We win if the screen game stays in check. We got to be aggressive with our front four. If that results into a lot of big screen plays, so it's really, I think it comes down to our linebacker play. And Warner hopefully is good on that ankle, and the rest, all the other linebackers looked great last week. So as long as that screen game stays in check, I'm confident we can get the dub.
All right, man. That's we'll see. I don't know.
It's going to be a really good game. I'm really looking forward to this one because of the great offenses, but the great defenses too, and the back and forth. I think.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And plus, I mean, we're just good for a good game. You watch any of these other games this week? I mean,
yeah,
you were better off doing something else with your time.
Yeah.
Indeed. All right, man. Well, if you're right in your confident pick of your team winning, we'll give you a call next week.
Woo. All right. Well, let's just do it under a little less stressful scenario.
I don't think it's
wouldn't
gonna
count
be.
on that.
Yeah.
That's not what this team does. That's the thing. All right, man. Thanks
Fair
for the
enough.
time. We'll talk at you later.
Yep. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, Ray.
All right, that's that matchup.
Yeah, it's
Feel any better, Jim?
no, I don't.
All right, cool.
Like I said, Ray's
Appreciate that.
usually good. I know preseason he was more optimistic than I was. I think we talked to him last week. He seemed pretty good, a little more optimistic than I was about going into Dallas. Hesitancy, but like I said, there's that weird balance. I'll talk about it more on the prediction show. But
like you guys said, it's house money, right? Like
Yeah.
you're further than you had thought, and it sounds like further than Ray had thought. Certainly further than Casey thought. We know, but I think it just sets up to be a good game because these two teams are awful similar, right? They kind of want to do the same things. It's just one of them has Aaron Rodgers, so we'll see how it plays out. It should be this is in Lambeau, cold as fuck, right? Could work. Like Packers think it works in their favor, but it could work in your favor too.
yeah, we're a team that's built to play in the cold weather, even though we play in sunny San Francisco. Well,
All
Santa
right.
Clara, excuse me.
All right. Well,
I'm on that
we'll
lawsuit.
talk this game in a little more detail coming up Friday on the podcast. But so you don't have to make a pick now, Jam. But I got questions and thoughts that I need to bounce off of probably Ryan, not Jam. But we'll see. We'll talk
I'll give
about
you
it.
an honest opinion.
We'll have more
before
time.
the
I'm
Niners
not
game.
asking for an honest opinion. I'm asking for advice. We will be back checking out the rest of the games. There'll be plenty of videos, things, fan previews from all of the teams, all the matchups. So make sure you're listening to those. Give them the like, subscribe, share, get them out to your friends. You got friends that are fans of these teams. Give them a share. Let them know, hey, check this out. These guys are talking to fans and having fun. And check out the podcast. That's what we're trying to do here. So until the next time you listen to us, which hopefully is soon, this has been just another football show.
Bye.
See ya.
Act one.